Good morning, good afternoon. Today is June 18, Monday 2018. We're doing the morning business headline commentary. Alright, my fans, my followers, my ideas, and my thinking. How's it going, everybody, and everything? Today we've seen a continuing trade vanity conflict between US and China. You know what I'm saying? Like, more tariff. This is gonna go on a little bit further. I'm gonna draft my own tariff proposals, just to see if I can embargo a tariff on my neighbors or something like that. I'm joking a little bit because this is kind of getting to the comical side. All right, going like reactions like 200 points, a little bit less than that right now, downside. So we have this cycle of executive of the government's stocks cyclical happening. So to I guess maybe to produce some gyrations, that could happen, something like that, right? We'll see. Like a little bit of a Tesla news, like burst into flames, primarily probably with the continuous draining or charging of the Tesla batteries. I'm telling you, these chemistry with lithiums, if you somehow physically assault them, in so to speak, they start acting weird, like heating up and stuff like that with the lithium. So if you, to similar circumstances, I would imagine you hit a bad bump, that would cause physical, rocketing to the battery lithium. I would say 80 to 90% of the time is the assault on the battery, physical assault forces onto the battery, and then they start acting strange, and which is like, the strange thing is like the heating up, and sometimes the heating up leads to very hot and temperatures and lead to combustion of other things, the whole car, stuff like that. So you may have to answer these things, you may have to look into better cushioning engineering or shock absorption engineering, kind of like that, like struts and shocks for for the whole car. And now maybe you need to maybe add some springs into the setup with the battery. Alright, so that's a little bit of my idea about, it's basically 90% of the times the source of the flames is the battery heating up. And, a lot of the times it's due to, like forces hitting onto the battery. So this is a little bit of vanity conflict again. My neighbors probably want to listen, draft out their own tariff list now, and then tell everybody about it to get some headline attention. Alright, a little bit of stocks. Like when you make such a important decision as to start defrauding people with the fuel economy in such a big scale, with the sell so many cars, you know that when you decide to do that, you're going to jail eventually. Because this is totally, like the kid who won't study or doesn't know how to understand the class, like the subjects in the class, and still want to be in the class. So the value of being in the class that he doesn't understand is to, one, maybe like annoy the other students, slow down the class because you don't understand the stuff, the ability to understand the stuff. And it seems like this kid wasn't grew up and then just continued the same kind of policy, like trying to cheat, try to, reminds me a lot of other people right now, because they don't have the legitimate, capacity or the capability to understand certain things, and they pretend they know. I mean, the United States, there's so much of shit like that, I'm telling you. That's why, like, people understand that, this is like corruption to the corruption capital of the world. Largely because we have people in charge doesn't have the capability or the mental, abilities to comprehend a lot of things. All right. All right, Jeff Bezos, face recognition tools, all right, that's an evolution, like how people are pissed off by, stores keep annoying them, and even after they left the store or they left the shopping website, they want to separation. It's like it was nice presentation of products, pricing and stuff. That's why they made the purchase. That is the 90% of the time the reasoning people buy. You give a nice experience, good pricing, and that's it. And then some people just tell them that you need to know your customers, and then you start like going crazy and like trying to like find out all this stupid stuff, and then the customer find out and they create some fake stuff, so just to fuck back with them. Because when you leave the store in separation. Stop bothering customers for more stuff, and then you waste a lot of company funds and resources just to instead of just keep making lower pricing, you had to increase your prices just to pay for these customer research. Instead of like taking the funds and just giving it to the customer in terms of maybe rebates and lower pricing. All right, so that's a little bit of that, how customers get pissed off and then go to other sites to buy stuff. All right, let's go to the other major headlines and information. Let's check it out. Everything, not much going on here. Bonds, just the 10-year, like nearing a little bit higher. Gold at 1280, as I mentioned many times. I still haven't seen anybody wearing a lot of gold in public, unless it's like close to the public events where you feel safe, just showing it off. But the whole value is just showing it off. There's no practicality in imitating other people wearing like heavy, luxuriously designed gold. Nobody does that on the streets. So even like in certain products that need gold appearances, that's like very cheap chemistry now. Modern chemistry that just give the appearance of gold plating, and that's all you need. So my friends, myself, and I haven't seen anybody wear gold. Like in practicality. In practicality, even though you wear gold, I mean, you commute, you move around, you knock it off. Maybe you knock off something off the jewelry. I mean, nobody risks that. And two things. You attract criminality, and the practicality of being bumping around while you're moving around in the city. I mean, just doesn't work with it. So I don't see gold staying above 1,000 for long. I mean, like 10, 15 years ago, yeah, they had a reasoning because there's very much uncertainty, and still, I mean, they remind themselves of the physicality. As we go into software capabilities of the software, in terms of evolving store values, where there's like you don't really need the physicality as long as like you back it and demand by people. Just like I mentioned before, there's a new forms of store value that can defeat a lot of the local corruptions, the traditional corruption, like those poor countries, and where the leader like took all the foreign aid funds and buy themselves like a lot of richness, and a lot of people just to be in the business of foreign aid, and they just get very successful, and you see the people they're supposed to help doesn't get any benefit at all. So what's like people in the business of foreign aid. So corruptions with foreign aid to poor countries, and then there's disruptions to the leadership because people doesn't want to take it anymore. and it rocks the local store value instruments, like the local currencies. And you see it many evolving times. Like people hit on these new instruments that's not bounded by the physical borders, but honored by smart bros that are willing to honor the value and pay for it in other parts of the world, or eventually in other parts of the universe, as long as um, there's a demand and the valuing of the store value. All right, let's go to oil. Oil is about 65. I predict it will drop a little bit more, because they just trigger a lot of consumer angriness against anybody that's trying to pop the pricing again illegitimately. They tried that like 10, 15 years ago, and you saw what happened in 2008, right? There were a lot of them, you know, didn't end up well. And part of the reason is like they got fed up. This is like tested trust. That's to not trust anymore with some of these financial institutions, and they try to market themselves to forget about it. It's a new era now. It's in the past. A lot of smart bros know and consumers know is like who were involved in the 2008 and will happen again, because a lot of people are forgetting, and there's some people that still remembers, and it'll be a little bit different, if they try it again. Hang Seng down 100 points, nearing 30,000, as I mentioned many times before. They had a rapid rise from what, like 27, 25,000 points to 30,000 points. And you see the earnings didn't justify a lot of these pricing. All right, so that's why I said it'll be like up and down the mark of 30K. All right, Dow Jones down a bit. As I mentioned before, this is a lot have to do with a lot of vanity conflict. People love the vanity conflict as almost like entertainment value. And I do imagine a lot of them in the U.S. They watch the show called 24. I don't know, like 24 is a lot of like, doesn't make sense stuff. I don't know how like gunmen from like very poor countries end up all the way inside the White House. It's like there's no fencing, that you don't need to walk the distances, and they just end up inside. So when I saw that like in 24, it's like, I'll just change the channel. It doesn't make sense. But a lot of guys in the U.S. they like those stuff, those vanity conflict stuff, But sounds. I mean, a lot of people that deal with technology, like to find out how things work. Yeah, they also want to find out how you like suddenly show up, like in like standing up in the top roof of a building, and the next scene you're in the basement in a tunnel or something like that. It's like how you get through that. It doesn't take time, like don't you have to take the elevator if you're even a superhero? Something like that. I'm joking a little bit because this is like how as common sense stuff. Like how does like some people get propulsion? If you just like say that I get propulsion just like that, then why you even have the conflict? Because you can do anything you want. All right. So Snap, as I mentioned before, uh, you need to let them play themselves up a little bit, and they realize like, oh, we just got play ourselves. They will realize eventually they need to go into the legitimate research of computer science and various other stuff. They try to promote themselves as fun party stuff, but people grow up and they realize that they can't have fun party stuff all the time. They need to legitimately go to work, provide value as in products and services, and grow up and do other things legitimately. So that's why you see like people like growing out of the services that they provide. You know, I mean, how many puppy faces can you make? Well, you see, like the irony is, like a lot of smart people know this already. We actually, the solution to keep family together is already there. Think about it. But they keep presenting themselves as something that's unique to the United States and that the United States purposely doing that to them. So when you think about it a little bit more, it's not totally about their agenda at all anymore. Why isn't like neighboring south of the border countries don't have the same problem? Think about it. If they actually want to flee their own locality, what about the country next door? What about going to Brazil, Argentina? They have pretty nice economy and they're like understand all the same reasoning, but they don't go there. So they present it to the United States as the only place that's doing this bad stuff to them. When all the other countries that logistically looking on the map, you have like some of them travel through 10 countries, which they can ask for help. And they don't have to travel that far and dangerously to themselves. And they say, oh, this is so dangerous and so forth like that. Well, can easily just truck themselves to the neighboring country and ask for the same stuff. And then when you realize they persist, in this agenda that they present is not really that agenda. When you look deep into it, it's been over a 30, 40-year passive war against the United States by the cartels. They sell billions and billions in drugs and invest a small percentage of the profit into these soft passive war against the United States. You think about it. When you think in the context of the interest of the cartels, you probably know. And when you're the parent, you get angrier and angrier because if you're a successful parent financially and everything, and somehow you walk in the street, you went to an event, and some guy named Swifty or D Money got note of your family and your children, and then you see like they have soft strategies, maybe for a typical something like give you free drugs to your children when they go to some party or something like that. You never know. That's the whole point. You never know. If you're very angry, I would, like allow the government to just like actively find these people called Demon and Swifty and just kill them. All right, and everybody in the world will understand. You show what the reasoning is, because a lot of families do care about their children. All right, so it's a little bit about that. Foreign citizens of foreign countries are foreign countries' responsibilities. When they come here in legitimate terms, we cannot present their interests legitimately, even though on the face value, they seem to be trying to defend them. But you don't know due to the agenda, so many different agendas. Are they like saying that you need to protect family and they turn around to buy drugs or they're on drugs while they're saying that? Definitively, that's the whole problem. I don't know about you, foreign citizens need to be returned to their countries so their own countries can represent their interests legitimately and also pay for the cost of everything. I don't know why we're paying for food, free sheltering, of very good quality. You have people struggling everywhere else, citizens. That's another, mixing raisins and turds philosophy thinking, you know what I'm saying? All right, so that's a little bit of that. You evaluate that yourself. And you have to address it because this is massively affecting the future of the country. The economy, the safety of many children that you see in the news in Long Island overdosing on drugs, parents with their kids in the backseat passed out. You see that regularly, more frequently now on the news. And you don't have to go back and attack these things. It'll be attacking you. I think the founding fathers knew eventually some troubled people is evolving, but they know that back then the troubled people. That's why they give you the 3, 4, 5 Bill of Rights that's forever constituted to the legitimate citizens of this country. Alright, so, you see other things going on, news going on, the World Cup. I don't know what's this. Since I don't know what's this, you can say anything you want. Like I haven't never heard of them products and services. So alright, that's a little bit of important like affecting everybody a little bit, as I mentioned. If you're like eventually being a young family, I pointed to certain important things that eventually a lot of parents have to contend with, because parents that work cannot watch the kids, and when that happens, a lot of people thought about what's going on already. So you see news happening, tragic news, you think in the context that was introduced to you, and you evaluate it yourself. And a lot of people will get very, very angry, all right? And, more motivated into correcting what shouldn't be, even the United States agenda at all, if they have legitimate, but it's not legitimate. All right, so we see now Dow Jones down 150, like obvious reasoning. All right. All right, a little bit of everything. All right, today's Monday, June 18, 2018. We're doing the morning business headline commentary. All right, so as something of note, I do have Chinese business followers, and they did try follow my commentary and my suggestions to buy out Germany's robotics firm. After I featured these robotics arms building supercar in some of my supercar remix video listed below. I also have Indian followers. I did mention feature Amazon, Disney, and McDonald's. Since then, all three has done well since my daily video featuring them. If you have specifically, if you have followed my commentary on maybe like Ford, you have done pretty well and continues to be very well. I know that Ford produces a product called Lincoln Navigator. It's sold out. It's a very expensive car and very good car. Full-size SUV. When you buy it, you probably can't get it because they can't make fast enough to sell it. So that's a good problem to have for a business. Other things, I did mention to the Hong Kong government they may consider landfilling to increase their territorial areas, so they can, more legitimately increase the economy, where they can build a lot more businesses, house more businesses like that. And then I got a response within 24 hours that they're considering it, and an issue they need to consider is the ocean depth or the sea depth, where they need cargo ships to come by. And I told them in response that modern engineering should be able to solve that already. All right, that's 3 of my many, many sometimes actionable commentaries. And thank you for listening and evaluating for yourself some of the ideas I presented and so forth like that. All right, happy trading, everybody. Today's Monday, January 18, 2018.